Hey guys, how's it going? Rain76 here. I want to bring you my Assassin's Creed Origins review, as I really enjoyed this game and I think it's probably one of the best in the series, and I wanted to bullet point the reasons I think it is. Would this game win Game of the Year? I don't think so, just because games that release every other year or every year don't seem to win this kind of awards. But I think this game, even though it's a yearly release most of the time, might be just below that bar. Like, it's probably as good, but it's tough to have something like the new Mario games that only come along every 4 or 5 years. There are all kinds of games that can win Game of the Year. So anyways, let's talk about how it stacks up to the other Assassin's Creed games. Previous greats like Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which is personally my favorite of the series, and maybe like Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which I've also played, and this is where the game started to take a downturn and I thought maybe this series was done. So I want to talk about my opinion and my thoughts on what you might like about this game and what I personally enjoyed. So let's start out with the open world. What Ubisoft has done by taking a year off is they've really been able to develop an amazing, huge open world. And this world is quite technologically advanced. As you play, you kind of realize there's so much going on. The grass and the landscape, and there's quests and there's life in the cities. And when you start in your little initial town of Siwa, you kind of feel like it's a little bit like a tutorial. It's not a huge area, but it's big enough and it gets you started. But then you start unlocking the map, and at first it's a little bit overwhelming. You didn't really expect it to be so big. Once you've unlocked most of the map and you zoom out and you look at it, you're like, holy crap. Like, even one of the largest cities is amazingly huge, and there's so much to do and so much going on, and there are dozens of these cities and areas. So it's a great change, and I think Ubisoft, the best thing taking that year off, I think it really shows in this aspect of the game. If you really like open worlds that aren't open worlds just for the sake of being open, well, this game has quite a bit going for it. There are quite a few side quests, and these side quests are something else I want to talk about. The main storyline in Assassin's Creed Origins about your main character, Bayek, is a really good story. It starts off, I don't want to give anything away, like there's going to be pretty much no spoilers, but they really try to get you attached to your character right away. So all of a sudden, you're working your way in this game, and you're kind of like developing your character pretty well. But I want to mention that the side quests, also, you do have a few generic ones here and there, but overall you have quite a few that really help to develop your character too, and you could almost call them like secondary main quests. So they really add a lot, and I think this it adds a deepness to the game and adds another dimension, and it's very much appreciated. I think Ubisoft has done an amazing job, and there are also side quests that surprisingly they branch out quite a bit. So it's not your main go here from point A to point B and you're done. So that's really, really good. Another point I want to make is the climbing. We all know about the climbing system in Assassin's Creed. I mean, the first initial Assassin's Creed, which I played way back, I don't know, 10 years ago or whatever, the climbing was basically one of its selling points. Like, it had never really been done like that. They're kind of pioneers when it comes to this. You remember the anchor points were so obvious and you couldn't really climb everything. Back then you couldn't even fall in water, I believe you would drown. I mean, it's been a while, but I just want to mention and kind of point out how the climbing in this game is, I think it pushes the boundaries, and I think a lot of games are going to follow in the footsteps of Assassin's Creed Origins. It's going to be a pioneer because everything you try to climb is basically climbable. There are some anchor points that are obvious, but they're not the only places you can climb. You can climb wherever you want. It's quite amazing. I have never seen a system work this well. This system is just the best I've ever seen by far, and I think you guys would really appreciate this too. Kind of talking about another point that I think is very important. Everybody who plays this game, Assassin's Creed games, knows that the combat systems are quite choreographed. You all know you kind of used to hide in crowds, and when you do combat, you'd have, even if you had 5 or 6 enemies, they'd seemingly just attack one at a time. Very choreographed, and a very kind of felt like a bit of a dance, you know, kind of one enemy at a time. And the way they've approached combat in Assassin's Creed Origins is it's not quite as fluid maybe, but they've added a lot of depth and a lot of dimension to it, where you get into a combat and enemies will attack more or less in unison. Like, I'm not saying you'll have like 5 or 6 enemies jump on you, but you will have attacking one enemy. The other one will kind of come at you, attack. You've got your archers and your horseplay, which is really good. And you really have to be a little bit more dynamic about the way you take on your combat. So I think if you're an Assassin's Creed fan, moving on to this game, this is also another step in the right direction. And this is a step up from the old system. So way to go. And I believe you would all enjoy this. Also, I want to mention the new crafting system. I'm going to try to cover most of it. I might miss a few things. But as you start out, you have weapons and you have bows pretty much. And you can buy mounts. And there's a lot of treasure. Like, the old system was basically go to a shop and buy your weapons, and that was it. But now what you get to do is you get to find weapons in different chests or from different quests as rewards. And you're going to find some weapons that you really, really like along the way. And you're going to find a lot of materials and stuff for crafting. And these weapons, what you can do is you can keep using them because they are all upgradable. You can pay a fee or you can craft your own. You have a little bit of choice here. I got a set, I don't want to spoil it, but I got a set from a quest, and I wanted to use this set for the rest of the game. Like, I really loved this set. It was an amazing, I think it might have been a timed event, so I don't want to give anything away. I hope it's still available, but if you do this quest and you get through it, you get the most amazing set by far. And I just wanted to keep using it. So what I did is I kept crafting it up to my level. Like, I got it at maybe level 20, and by the time I was in my level 40, I could still use this set, which was amazing. There was no way I was moving away. It was an amazing sword and shield. So, and you also have your bow play. Now, you can approach combat from a distance. Sometimes you can take some enemies out stealthily. There are so many different kind of bows. There are your basically your long-range bow. It's kind of like a stealthy long-range bow where you can take enemies out from quite a ways out. You have your close combat. You can shoot like 5 arrows. You know, you're in the middle of combat and you add that extra shot in. I mean, it's really amazing. And I think this really works well. So seriously, like the combat I really enjoyed and the crafting I really enjoyed. So you guys should maybe give this a look. I mean, this game, it really took me by surprise, like how much work they put into it. And I really hope maybe this series doesn't come out every year, but if they do, I hope they stay on the same path they're on. So I want to talk a bit about the technical aspects of this game as I played on PC. I'm not a technical wizard, you know, but I really enjoy my games to run well. And this game ran amazingly well on my PC. I have had 0 crashes. Like, this game did not crash. And there's so much going on. Like, the landscape is gorgeous, and I know this game is using a lot of resources, but it works. Like, it ran amazingly well, and just having no issues with so many moving parts. It's a wonder that it ran so smoothly, as everybody knows that the ports to PC aren't always great, and the past few years have shown that. But this game has been ported unbelievably well, and this is how a port should be done. Congrats. So in closing, I want to keep this around as short as possible, but in closing, I think Ubisoft is on the right track here. After Syndicate, I call it my generic London Twins crusade. That was just a terrible game that made me feel like Assassin's Creed was done. They had nowhere to go. I could not imagine, even when they were initially speaking of Origins, I thought, oh man, I'm probably going to avoid this game. But then I ended up with the game, and I was very impressed. I couldn't stop playing. I just wanted to do more and more. I wanted to get to 100%. I've completed the game. I did about 85% so far. I might still do some more, and I might get the DLC at some point and do a second review on that. But I think this is the game that breathes new life in this series, and I'm very happy about that. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this review. I know it's positive. I know it's hard to say you want to be critical, but I can be very critical of this game because I think it's quite an accomplishment after having such a series become so bland. Definitely let me know what you think in the comments below, and I really appreciate your time. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you later.